Good evening, and welcome to Spotlight with Earl Morgan and Tinia Bland. I'd like to introduce you to our next guest, Carol Crystal. There are very few things I can say about a woman who does it all. Thank you. My greatest compliment is we have a feminist sitting here, one that declares she is one, and her wonderful business, Simply Feel Better. Carol, please tell us about it.
Simply Feel Better is I'm a massage therapist, and I use bodywork massage, and I've expanded to use health counseling, breathing techniques, and a whole array of different natural ways to feel better. And that's what Simply Feel Better is, and I practice out of a space up in the Heights on Central Avenue called Self-Help Space, and I encourage all natural forms of therapy. So we have used financial advisors and aromatherapy and all different array of ways to simply feel better.
I can see how someone's money problems would really be a deterrent.
Indeed. If that's your big issue, a massage is not going to help you at all. You need someone to teach you how to do your finances.
You're right.
You need to approach what's the problem.
Well, how do people reach you?
Like looking at my phone? Yeah, just calling directly 201-913-2864.
And one more time, please.
201-913-2864.
Okay. And how many classes do you have? What days are you open?
Well, I'm not formally having specific classes. What we do is we're having on Sunday, we're having a Mother's Day event, and Tawana Williams is doing with aromatherapy and other types of natural therapies on Sunday, for instance.
Tawana Williams, for you uninitiated out there, and there are many, is my daughter, who is over here tonight feeding her face.
The daddy-daughter conversation, right?
And she works for Carol, or with Carol. I've never figured out which
We
one.
work together.
More of that word, collaboration.
That's right. Collaboration is really important.
And then where's the space at again?
On Central Avenue, up between South
But the
and
Mother's Day affair will be where?
At the space.
It will be at the
At the
space.
space, yeah.
Well, I also understand that you've been very active in the LGBT movement.
Indeed.
Tell us something about that, because the very strange thing happened in the last few years with that.
Oh, it's
And American attitudes towards it, which are almost revolutionary.
indeed.
So how was it strange, Earl?
Well, because if you were born in my time, and up till recently, you know, you were in trouble if you were of that proclivity. Someplace a few years back, not too many years back, it flipped. And it flipped so fast, the President of the United States found himself running to catch up with everybody else. But now we have, that is all out there in the open. Now we're talking gay marriage. The Supreme Court is going to make some serious decisions about it.
Yeah.
But what are the things that you've done, that you've seen and done, to bring it to this particular point?
Well, it's interesting you say it came quickly, and indeed it did seem, I think, like it came quickly, but really there have been people working on the issues forever. And it's just like anything else, you do all that, underground work and that constant day after day after day after day, and then all of a sudden,
Beating on that rock.
Exactly, and all of a sudden it just breaks open, and here it is, and it seems quick. But my sister, for instance, when she was in her late teens, might have been 1920, in New York, she was beat up by cops because she had no women's clothing on. She was all in men's clothes. So
They beat her up.
well, they arrested her thinking she was a woman in men's clothes, and then she couldn't produce a piece of women's clothing. And on the way to jail, they beat the hell out of her. So
Well, we can see now that that's been going on a lot longer than just since phone cameras have been.
yeah, indeed. So, but this was in, say, 1968, 67.
So beat her up because she
Didn't, well, because she was mouthy after that. I mean,
Well,
she got mouthy when she.
You didn't do that then.
She
Ain't a good idea now.
Yeah, I'm sure she escalated it, but nevertheless, it seems like a strange rule that you can distinguish what type of clothing one can wear, what brand men's
The
clothes,
clothing
women's
police.
clothes. Yeah, exactly. So I mean that has changed so much so now. I mean, there is no clothing police, for instance.
What would they do?
Yeah, really. Heaven knows. But the things have changed that much. I mean, that's a tremendous change from then till now. It's just, it's a different world to me.
I agree. Having grown up with it the way it was,
Oh, to now.
as a teenager and as a young man, and I mean, I always felt this way. That's you do what you want to do. As long as you don't impinge on my right to do what I want to do, I don't impinge on yours.
But let's look at the psychological ramifications of not allowing one to be what they are. So many deaths, so many suicides,
Oh my God.
so many people who never reached fruition, and their families also, because we had a society that wanted to decide how to pigeonhole people. What do you say about that?
Oh, I completely agree with you. Years back, we had an enormous rate of alcoholism in the gay community. Exactly, from suppressing what your needs were, denying who your spouse was. I was fired from Revlon because I didn't fit the corporate environment.
Oh, I can imagine.
Somebody found out.
You worked for Revlon?
Yeah, right.
Oh.
It was kind of funny to me too, but the job's a job. But I didn't fit corporate environment, and that was the code word.
I don't quite see you in the corporate environment even now.
But to me, that's the sad part of it all. What difference could sexuality make with whether it's Revlon, Chanel, a restaurant, or anything? A teacher, a lawyer, a doctor. Remember, there was a time when if you were gay, they did not want you to adopt a child.
Or touch their child.
Exactly.
I remember as a young woman being afraid, like, was it okay to touch a child? I'd be, oh, your baby's so cute. But I was like, oh, if they find out, they're going to be upset it was me. And having that always in the back of your mind, it was just a thing you knew. You had to be careful who you touched, what you did.
They have this program on Mad Men.
Yeah.
Probably seen it. I remember those days. I remember those guys. They were pretty, the women that were around them were just sex objects. And they had no, they were one-dimensional characters, and men were men.
What show was that?
Mad Men.
Okay.
You never saw Mad Men?
No, I don't think I.
Mad Men was an exploration of speaking of Revlon, they were mentioned last week, of the advertising business and in the 50s. And it was all about how the attitudes about race and sex and work and who was who and what was what.
Oh, I remember that song. Who was who and what was what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it was very interesting to what as it's going into the 60s now, everything is changing. And it isn't changing as much as it did in the last couple of years, but the war in Vietnam accelerated everything, and they're into that.
But Earl, I wonder, were they lying to themselves or to each other? Because people have always been gay. Always.
That's
I mean,
true.
and when you knew a lot of them in politics, I mean, they made movies about them, and now we wanted to sweep them under the rug.
Actually, it was so bad that there was a movie made.
Yes.
About this. It was a movie about Washington. I can't remember the title of it, but this man was a senator, and he was on one side of an issue. And they were trying to force him to the other side, and it was discovered that he was gay. Oh. And they tried to use it against him. He ended up, as you said, committing suicide.
Well, look at Hoover. Come on. Come on. So this always existed. It's just how.
Oh yeah, this always existed.
But and his mother, what did she say? She didn't want him to be a dandy. That was the word, a dandy. And I'm telling you, I was trying to figure out what in the world is a dandy. My point to that is this. Do you want a child that's alive and healthy?
Having self-worth and being able to get a job, as you said before, working, having a job, supporting your family, contributing to society. It's that, or someone who's chronically depressed, addicted to whatever satisfies their feelings of insecurity. And it's the same situation. Civil rights is civil rights.
Exactly.
You know, I've met gay people who were great. I met gay people who were rock.
Indeed. And that's across the board.
You know,
right?
they are just like everyone else. And I've heard a lot of people.
Heterosexuals that were all right.
Oh, I've met a lot of them that were rock. I know a lot. Okay, so we're just about out of time for this segment. Thank you very much for being here, Karen.
Thank you.
And we have another segment coming up with the incomparable Cliff Perkins.
Yeah.
Lead singer of Soul Generation. He has a new product out called Ooh Baby.
With this last minute, I want to urge our audience to make sure you're not seeing people because of their sexual identity, but you look past that to see the real person. Each and every one of us, whether we're heterosexual, homosexual, let's take the sexual out of it and look to that person.
You know, to show you how bad it is, Carly Fiorina, who's now running for president, said that she went for an interview and one of the first questions she was asked was, why is she wearing pink nail?
That's right.
All right, thank you very much for being here, Carol. And Cliff Perkins.
And cut.